Are you getting excited for the eclipse? They have the National Guard out for the eclipse, which has a lot of people wondering, is it more than just an eclipse? I think it'll be okay. When you have 2 million people going into a town of 2,000, there needs to be somebody there watching over things. So let's hope for the best. What do you think about this, Collin, this eclipse that's coming up?
You know what? I got to be honest. I'm not aware of an eclipse. Tell me about the eclipse.
Good. Then you have a lot more time to think about things that actually matter. Well, the eclipse. There's so many mysteries to this eclipse right now that have been, and it's weird because there's 6 towns named Nineveh that this eclipse, the totality actually goes close to, not in complete totality, but 7 towns named Nineveh, 7 towns named Salem, and then one of the towns is named Jonah that it goes past. So it's like, wait a second. Maybe the people that wrote the Bible knew about astrology, and then our founding fathers knew about where the totality would be, and they named these towns accordingly. So I'm just looking right now, and I typed in banks buying gold under Google search, and we've got this is from Axios, Bloomberg, South China Morning News. Central banks have been buying gold at an unprecedented pace in recent years, with the first 2 years seeing more than 1,000 tons of gold being purchased each year. In 2023, central banks purchased 1,037 tons of gold, which is just 45 tons short of 2022 record. Wow. Yeah, hook me up. I want some of that. Oh, wait, I can call up Collin. Hello.
You got some of that. Yeah, so for people, and Rex, to go through this month, the promotion this month, the quarter ounce gold standard coin, I mean, that coin is worth close to $700. That's for any qualified IRA. So qualified, you have to qualify above $50,000. We do have promotions that are below the $50,000 range, but you're getting basically a $700 coin for free. For anyone that's doing an account, whether it's cash or IRA, it doesn't matter. You're going to get that coin. So I think we have kind of hit it out of the park right now. So anyone that's looking to get a little, something for free, you've been thinking about doing this for a while, and you need something to kind of push you in. We have that $700 coin that's available out there. And call, get some information. People are standing by right now, ready to take your call, answer questions, and get our free guides and get educated on what we do here.
And then, so one person might look at it like it's prophecy, and another person might look at it like, well, you can make prophecy when you know when the stars are going to be aligned. So It's pretty cool. It's really cool. But National Guard is literally being deployed.
Wow. Just to make sure everybody's putting their glasses on, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
This is the Eclipse crowd pretty dangerous. I don't know too much about people that I feel like they're pretty tame crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would think. Yeah. That was funny, man. That was good. They're just
put their glasses on. Okay, now we can look. Does silver protect you when you're looking up at the eclipse? I don't know. I'm gonna look it up after. I don't know anything about the eclipse, but I'm always interested, and I'm willing to learn more about this. Obviously, I get a little bit in the weeds in the finance world, so sometimes I got to stick my head out and see what other people are doing.
Well, or maybe not. Maybe you're better off where you're at, man. So I applaud you for that, and I just thought it was pretty cool. And so one of the things that I don't think is very cool, though, is like the way that the markets are looking right now. The inflation rate's insane. The debt clock's insane. I went out the other day. So I actually do some work in Durango also, and I'll drive to work sometimes. And I hit a wild turkey the other day, smashed my window, pulling glass out of my face. It was amazing. But I was like, I didn't have lunch that day. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go get lunch. And I think I spent $28 for some French fries and like a turkey sandwich and a coffee. And I just thought, wow, I remember when you could get that for $5 and it didn't even seem that long ago. And now $5 will barely get you a cup of coffee. So I'm wondering
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, everything is debt driven today. And I actually feel for restaurant owners. I have empathy for them and what they're going through, because the margins are so tiny on a restaurant. I have a lot of friends in the business, and you're talking about anywhere from like 7 to maybe the best, you're making 12, 13% on what you're doing. And that's if everything's cooking, right? If everything's but they're running into a lot of roadblocks, and it's a roadblock that most business owners are facing today, is that you have rising costs of goods. You know, the goods for them would be food, rising costs of just expenditures, insurance, rent in certain areas has gone up. Some areas it's gone down, so that's been a benefit to some business owners. But generally speaking, it's very difficult for many businesses today to cover those kind of small margins that they're working through. And so it's just where's the end going to happen? And the Fed came out and said that they're going to lower rates, 2 or 3 times this year. Even though inflation sort of hit a roadblock, we're sitting around 3%, and their mandate is really 2%. But they know that they need to move this economy, and so they're probably going to lower rates, which, it'll be interesting to see how that affects everyday Americans. If inflation is going to continue to skyrocket, they'd be better off not lowering rates at this point. And because really their mandate, the Fed's mandate, is to keep rates, is to keep inflation low, really. So it's going to be hard for a lot of people right now. We're still in a sticky situation. I still think we're in a recession. No matter what anybody says, because I don't see people easily being able to get ahead. And then, in the metals market, obviously people that are watching finance and aren't looking up the Eclipse, gold skyrocket. Gold broke $2,200 an ounce. I predicted 2,300 this year. It looks like that might be quite conservative in terms of numbers. We're sitting at 2176. And then the thing to really focus on is this gold to silver ratio. So you have, the gold to silver ratio is a ratio that people that are in the metals business really look at. We're at basically 87 to 1. So it's 87 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. That's a very high ratio. We've seen historically, it's been a while, but I've seen 16 to 1 in the early 80s. I've seen, 60 to 1, 50 to 1. So gold has really moved a lot, and silver, unfortunately, just for people that bought silver, just really hasn't moved yet. So a lot of people are wondering when that's going to happen. But if you look at silver stocks, silver mining stocks, it's very similar to what happened in the late 70s. It's very similar to what happened in 2018 and 19, where those stocks were really low right before a big surge. Because for people that don't remember, silver went on a massive run in the early 1980s, and then silver again went on a big run right after COVID. Silver exploded, hit all the way and broke $30 an ounce. So maybe the silver stock being low, mining stocks being low, is a good sign for the silver price. So we're in a unique position for these two metals right now. Obviously, everybody's in love with gold and their position in gold, because it's really blown through a lot of expectations here in a very quick manner. And the thing that's sort of scary about it is that we really haven't seen rates drop that much. If we go to a situation where they drop rates a lot and we see a flood of money out in the market, they just make money cheaper. In theory, that should be good for gold too, right? Whoa, don't drop the gold. That should be good for gold too, because when you have cheap money out there, the dollar is typically worth less, and that would be really good for the gold price. We saw that happen in 2008 and 2009 when they did quantitative easing, and you saw gold really take off for 3 years. So the markets are interesting right now. A lot of people are starting to convert their IRAs and old 401ks into gold and silver. A lot of old 401ks. I think a lot of people have left their jobs. So we've seen a big spike in thrift savings plans. People that work for the government have been moving over. And then just cash. I think that the one thing about rates going down, if they do lower rates this year, that means they're not going to pay 4 or 5% of the bank anymore. So people that have been loving those returns in the bank are going to have to think about what to do with their money if they lower rates, because that means the banks aren't going to pay 4 or 5%. You're probably looking at them paying 2 to 3%, which, as you mentioned, when you went to go buy that sandwich, if you're making 2-3% on your money, you're really losing money. You can't afford to keep up because the price of food and everything is skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even keep up with cost of living. And I just don't know how a lot of people do it without working 2 or 3 jobs. I mean, it's tough, and just paycheck to paycheck, even if you're making what you think is good money. And then depending on what city you're living, like, I'm doing okay here in Southern Colorado and stuff, but I know a lot of people that are in the big cities and they can't do anything. I mean,
Sure.
because it's just so expensive to get to work. They got to spend money to get to work, and it's
Yeah.
wild. But it's better than being put in the mines, right? Like in the 1800s, I just saw a
Yeah.
photograph. Like, I'm complaining now, but these guys, they're crammed in these little cages. They're getting dropped down 1,000 feet, coal mining, breathing in coal all day. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not that bad. Mining's a tough business. I'm shocked that silver is priced as low as it is. I'm just like, I'm waiting for that moment for it to just boom.
Yeah. It hasn't had that explosion recently, which is surprising because, we're everything that they use silver in. And listen, I know, solar panels and electric vehicles, some people love it, some people hate it, but this administration is pushing it forward. The world is pushing it forward. I talk to investors all the time, and they're always like, "I don't like the way things are going. I don't like." It's like it's okay to not like the way things are going. You may not want to buy an electric car, but by 2032, 2033, the 80% of production is going to be silver, unless something drastically changes. Not silver, excuse me. Electric vehicles. That's what they're pushing towards. So whether you love it or hate it or whatever, it's the trend of where things are going, and as an investor, that's what you should be looking at. I think you should look at where the trends are. There's a lot of investors out there that invest based on things that they like, and they won't invest in things that they hate. I know people won't invest in cigarette companies or whatever because they just don't believe in it, and I get that ideology, but I do think that silver's got so many uses beyond just solar panels and electric vehicles that you need to be conscious of that. I mean, everything electric that we're doing, all the computers, everything, they have some silver component there. And if you look at the charts and you compare it to other items that we use every day, anything else, it really has not moved. It's really been flat. And so I would just tell investors that, if you're sitting in cash, it might be a good time to consider something like this because, as you mentioned, mining is hard. It's expensive. And so if it keeps becoming more expensive to silver mine, that's going to be great for the price because there's no way that this metal is not going to be used for a long time in industry. It absolutely is. It's used in jewelry, it's used in electronics, it's used in everything. I really do think the solar panel push and the electric vehicle push is really going to help the silver price. But there's other uses there that could really push it over from where it is now. I think the $30 price of silver today, it is very realistic. And I would not be surprised if we break through that before the end of the year from where we are today, sitting in the mid, $24, $25 range.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I wanted to get, and I think they also make a lot of medical equipment with silver.
Correct.
Which is,
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a pretty massive boost. Yeah. My book, Silver is the New Oil, actually will be coming out in about 30, 45 days. So next time, hopefully I'll have it ready to go. But, I talk about in length with charts, graphs, and I went into a lot of detail and people will be happy to read it. And I think it gives a lot of validity to the silver argument in your portfolio. And I think, there's a lot of people today that, maybe they won on Bitcoin or they won on NVIDIA or they won on stuff. But at some point, you have to take some profit. At some point, you take profit and you're looking at, putting it into safe haven investments. You can't, people that are so bullish and stay in investments for so long can really get hurt in the long run. You want to take some of your chips off the table and get into some safety investments. And I think getting into some commodities like gold and silver make a lot of sense right now. Some things will come back. Everything in the markets have waves, but the stock market's pretty high right now. I think most people believe it's pretty high. I think real estate is a difficult market to work in right now to make money in. So you have to look at what areas have potential opportunities. And I just think if you look at the charts on silver, it's pretty interesting. You look at silver, mining companies, a lot of these, they're just really low, really undervalued right now. So that's something to consider as people, consider some of their investments.
Silver tards unite. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of stocks, check this out, man. This is wild. I'm sure you know about this. This is from Fortune, the great cash out. Jeff Bezos, Leon Black, Jamie Dimon, and the Walton family have now sold a combined 11 billion in company stock. This was at the end of last month. And you have to start questioning if they're cashing out, do they see a top in the markets, kind of like you were mentioning a minute ago? So there's got to get to a point where, wow, that's going to be very interesting to see what happens here in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, that is fascinating. Yeah, it's fascinating that, and also, not that it makes that much of a difference to them, but like people that group of people is so conscious of making money, and for them to liquidate all that in one shot in 1 year, it tells you two things. One, they are afraid of being overvalued, because to liquidate all that in 1 year is a massive tax event for them. So they're gonna really eat it by doing that massive liquidation. So they must be afraid. Actually, I do have a Walton connection. They've actually one of the members of the family has actually contacted us. We've been in discussions about acquiring some metals. So there are wealthy, 7-figure people, 8-figure, 9-figure people that are actually looking into metals, looking into safe haven. And part of the reason that we got contacted, they're talking to a few different companies about some of the getting into some physical investments, is that they want companies that have storage here in the US. They're really conscious of that. I know there's people that call us all the time that want storage in another place, but I think people that have made a lot of money here and are conscious, they do like the idea of having US storage. They like to have accessibility. We have locations in outside of Dallas, Texas, and also in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. So they want accessibility to their metals. And I think it's, gold and silver is one of the unique investments that, when they buy these assets, there's no debt. They pay their tax, they're going to buy it and just let it just sit there. And they're just similar to them building these bunkers, similar to them, trying to protect themselves in case the worst case happens, which a lot of people believe it is. Billionaires feel the same way. And so they want assets they can touch and hold. And so many of the assets that a lot of investors do are either wrapped up in real estate or they're wrapped up in the stock market. And if things really hit the fan, you can't do anything with those assets. Whereas these assets are always liquid, always desirable. And so that's why a lot of wealthy people really enjoy having some. And we're talking about, it's probably a small percentage of their portfolio. But anyways, it doesn't matter. They're doing it for peace of mind. And I think so many of our clients, people that check out Noble Gold, they read our reviews. So many of the reviews just say that people feel better after they've made a purchase in metals, just because they took a little bit of that risk and they got into something that they understand and it's a little safer.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my opinion, I just think it's such a great time because of the turmoil, because of the amount of money, like the debt clock. Oh man, I was just looking at it a minute ago. Where did this thing go? It's crazy. The debt clock. Where's
quite astonishing.
I got those numbers. Yeah, let me do a screen share with this, Collin. This is 34,601,571,000,500. Just keeps what 22 billion in 11 days, they said, or 122 billion in 11 days added to this. I don't know. I'm losing track. They just keep adding zeros.
And it's debt per taxpayer, 266,950.
What?
Debt per citizen, 102,857. Wow. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I like debt per taxpayer is significantly higher than debt per citizen because there's obviously a lot of people that are not paying taxes. So unfortunately, for those of us that do pay tax, that's something to factor into it. But yeah, that clock, look how fast it moves. I think that's something to keep in mind is that, we're going to have money this year really change. I think we had a sweet spot for cash. People had money in the banks and they made some money over the last year and a half, but rates are coming down, and, there's going to have to be a shift of assets if you want to keep up and get that return. And, historically, depending on who you read or who you believe, if you look at 1999, on the conservative side, gold's made between 7 and 9% per year since 1999 every year. So you're still going to beat that cash in the bank that we've seen, historically. We're looking at between 4 and 5% right now. But if things go back to the way they were, that means the banks were paying, what, 0.5% or 1%, 1.5%. Gold still will outperform that and has outperformed that over the last, 25 years.
So I'm just looking right now, and I typed in banks buying gold under Google search, and we've got this is from Axios, Bloomberg, South China Morning News. Central banks have been buying gold at an unprecedented pace in recent years, with the first 2 years seeing more than 1,000 tons of gold being purchased each year. In 2023, central banks purchased 1,037 tons of gold, which is just 45 tons short of 2022 record. Wow. Yeah, hook me up. I want some of that. Oh, wait, I can call up Collin. Hello.
You got some of that. Yeah. So for people, and, Rex, to go through this month, the promotion this month, the quarter ounce gold standard coin, I mean, that coin is worth close to $700. That's for any qualified IRA. So qualified, you have to qualify above $50,000. We do have promotions that are below the $50,000 range, but you're getting basically a $700 coin for free for anyone that's doing an account, whether it's cash or IRA, it doesn't matter. You're going to get that coin. So I think we have kind of hit it out of the park right now. So anyone that's looking to get a little, something for free, you've been thinking about doing this for a while and you need something to kind of push you in, we have that $700 coin that's available out there. And listen, there's companies out there that, advertised, $10,000 in free silver and $15,000. But I would literally recommend that you take a look at their fee structure. There are companies, my competitors, charging 40, 50, 60% commissions. So they can absolutely give you $10,000 in free gold and silver, but you're actually paying, 50% commissions on that. So you want to be careful. It is something, this is an unregulated space. You do want to do your due diligence. That's why, you partner with us. A lot of the big YouTubers partner with us because we charge very fair fees. We're a bullion dealer, so we sell bullion coins and bars at a very fair price. And you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck with us, coupled with just unbelievable service. We offer US-based live people to talk, and they are going to be your account managers, and they walk you through the entire process. So we do offer quite a unique customer experience in the industry with Noble Gold. But yeah, I'd say call. If you haven't called, get some information. People are standing by right now, ready to take your call, answer questions, and get our free guides and, answer what you need and get educated on what we do here.
Well, much appreciated. Let me ask you one more question before I finish this up. So I was reading about BRICS. I was doing more research on BRICS, and it appears like they've got several more dozen nations wanting to join this collective, and they're working on this new currency. Like, I know we talk about this sometimes, but I want to get your latest thoughts on this. I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah. I mean, last year they added 4 or 5 new countries. There was 4 or 5 more waiting in the wings. I mean, I think the more they add, if the likely scenario is that they go to a gold-backed currency. The main countries, it makes a lot of sense because you got China in there, you got Russia, who have been the two of the biggest buyers in the world. You have India. I mean, just those 3 countries alone are fascinated with gold, have been buying gold. They're not buyers of gold. They've been doing that for a long time. People, I think when they think of the U.S., as much as we think we are a strong country, we have not bought any gold in this country for, I would say, probably 50 years minimum. There's no reports of us buying gold. Yet, you have all these other countries in the world continuing to buy and hoard gold. And there's a reason why. Number one, they're profitable countries. Number two, they want to get to where we are, because technically right now we have the most gold. They know whoever holds the most gold wins. So that's why you're seeing central banks continue to buy gold. As much as it's about the markets, the stock market and real estate and all these things, you got to think, why are they continuing to buy gold? They know that gold is an important asset to become the major currency of the world, become a superpower of the world. So you're seeing all these central banks all over the world continue to buy gold in droves. They continue to buy gold mines. They know it's important to make the case that they're a strong country. So, you know, from you and I to central banks, gold, whoever has the most gold wins typically. And right now we're seeing those BRIC nations make a dramatic push to buy more gold and to be in a position where they can have a gold-backed cryptocurrency, or a currency, however they do it, a CBDC. They're going to offer a currency in the next few years that will be at least partially backed by gold to give it that strength. That's why they want to do it. They're going to give it, it'll have that strength of having gold behind it, so it won't have this, so they won't be able to just print freely, and it'll give that currency a more consistent value, which is what our currency had before we went off the gold standard here in the US.
Man, makes me think of the Knights Templar, and the X marks the spot. Speaking of Eclipse, the X does mark the spot in Texas, so maybe that's where all the gold is. Nah, probably not. Let's just hope an earthquake doesn't happen, because last time there was an earthquake in Turkey, where there was an X that took place in 2006. Just shortly after, one of the biggest earthquakes in the modern history in Turkey happened, and that would be absolutely horrible. So let's hope for the best. Let's prepare for the worst. Let's be prepared, not scared. And in finishing up, I got to say, here's a really cool article you folks should read. It's called "The Law of Averages Favors Gold. Is gold a good investment?" I'll leave the link for that in the video description box. I'm also going to leave the links for Collin Plume's website, for the website Noble Gold Investments. You can get free ebooks, how to get out of the rat race as well. So you want to click those free ebooks. When you call up Noble Gold, let them know Rex from Leak Project sent you. Let them know you saw the video. The number is 1-877-646-5347. I hope you all have a beautiful day. And also subscribe to Collin's YouTube channel. He does great updates, podcasts that are just a few minutes. They're quick updates talking about the latest market trends. And just hit that subscribe and the bell for all notifications. Any other awesome words of wisdom you want to give us before we finish this up? And thank you, Collin, for spending time with us.
That's all. We appreciate you, Rex. As always, love your channel. And I'm going to get off here and research about the eclipse to get updated.
Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day. Yeah, look at all the people behind me. Look at how excited
they're watching it. They're obsessed.
They're obsessed. Oh, man. All right, everybody. Be the change you want to see. Thanks, Collin. You're awesome, man.